They say family is supposed to be a safe place, where you can laugh, relax, and just be. But in my family, laughter was a weapon, and I was the target. I grew up being called too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. It became the family's favorite punchline. Every story ended with someone imitating me crying, and everyone laughing like it was harmless fun. But that Thanksgiving, that was the night I decided to stop being the punchline. It started like every other family gathering. Noise, chaos, and my Aunt Brenda sitting at the head of the table like a queen. Brenda wasn't technically the oldest, but she acted like it. She had a sharp tongue, a loud laugh, and the kind of confidence that made everyone else shrink a little. She also had a hobby, making jokes at my expense. When I walked in with my casserole, she greeted me with, "Careful, don't drop it this year. Remember what happened last Christmas?" Everyone laughed, even my mom, who just looked down at her plate. I forced a smile. "Hi, Aunt Brenda." My cousin Sam chimed in. "Hey, at least she brought food this time." The laughter doubled. I wanted to disappear. My husband Mark squeezed my hand under the table, silently reminding me, "Don't react." So I didn't. We sat down for dinner, and for a few blissful minutes it was normal. Turkey being passed around, kids screaming over who got the last roll, my dad talking about football. Then Brenda started again. "So how's that little job going?" she asked. I worked in marketing, a career I was proud of, but to her it was always little. "It's going great," I said calmly. "We just landed a new client," she cut me off. "Oh, so that means you finally moved out of your starter apartment?" The table laughed. I swallowed hard. "We actually did. Bought a house last month." Brenda raised her eyebrows. "Oh, well look at you, fancy lady. Hope you didn't cry at the closing." The laughter hit like a slap. My daughter Emma was sitting beside me watching. She's only 8, quiet, thoughtful, the kind of kid who notices everything. And I could see her face change as she listened, confused, hurt. I forced another smile, just to keep the peace. But inside something broke. After dessert, everyone moved to the living room for family stories. And by stories, I mean a highlight reel of my childhood embarrassments. Brenda launched into her favorite one. The time I cried because she pretended my hamster had run away. I was 9. She imitated my sobbing voice. "Where's Mr. Nibbles?" Everyone roared with laughter. Even my mother chuckled weakly. "Brenda, stop," she said, but there was no weight in her voice. I looked around at faces that had laughed at me my whole life, people who'd seen me cry, beg, and shrink for their entertainment. And for the first time I wasn't sad. I was done. I stood up slowly, set down my glass, and said, "You know, you're right, Aunt Brenda. I am sensitive." The room went quiet. Brenda smiled smugly. "Oh, sweetie, we're just joking." I cut her off this time. "I know. And since we're all joking, I've got one too." Mark glanced at me nervously. My mom looked confused. I smiled wider, calm, almost cheerful. "You'll love this one, Brenda. It's hilarious." And I pulled my phone out of my pocket. The screen lit up, and I saw her face change, just slightly, when she realized what I might be holding. Because Aunt Brenda loved to talk, but she also loved to text, and I kept everything. But I wasn't ready to play my hand yet. Not fully. I just scrolled through for a moment, letting the tension hang. "See, I was going through some old messages," I said casually. "And I found a joke you made about someone else in this room." Her smile faltered. "What?" "Oh, don't worry," I said. "I'll share it with everyone later. It's too good to keep private." The silence was heavy, the kind that tastes like electricity. I looked around the room, all those faces suddenly avoiding eye contact. And then I said the words that ended the laughter for good. "You always say I can't take a joke, Brenda. But maybe the real problem is you can't handle one." No one said a word, not even her. Mark gently put a hand on my shoulder. "You ready to go?" "Yeah," I said. Dinner was lovely. I smiled, grabbed Emma's hand, and walked out. But that wasn't the end. Because I had a plan. And what I did next? It didn't just make them stop laughing. It made them look at me differently forever. When we got home that night, Mark didn't say much. He knew me well enough to recognize that quiet in me, the one that comes right before a storm. I tucked Emma into bed, kissed her forehead, and she whispered, "Mom, why do they laugh at you?" That one sentence cut deeper than every insult Aunt Brenda ever threw my way. I smiled softly. They laugh because they don't understand kindness, honey. But that's okay. We're going to show them something better. After she fell asleep, I went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and pulled out my phone. My hands were steady, calmer than they'd ever been. For years, I'd kept screenshots, not because I planned revenge, but because I learned that when people gaslight you long enough, receipts are the only way to prove you're not crazy. There were texts from Aunt Brenda mocking everyone, not just me. My cousin's divorce, my mom's finances, even jokes about my uncle's health. She'd call it venting, but it was cruel. And every time someone called her out, she'd hide behind that same line. It's just a joke. So that night, I decided to give her a stage big enough for everyone to hear her jokes. I opened Facebook, her favorite place to brag about family values, and started typing. You know, it's funny how some families say we're just joking when they're really being cruel. I used to stay quiet, thinking I was too sensitive. But I've realized kindness isn't weakness, and cruelty isn't humor. So tonight, I'd like to share a few of the jokes I've laughed off over the years. Maybe they'll sound funny to someone else too. Then I attached screenshots. Real ones, names blurred out, except hers. I didn't add commentary. I didn't curse. I just let her words speak for themselves. When I hit post, Mark's eyes widened. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes," I said. It's time someone laughed with me, not at me. By morning, the post had over 600 reactions. Dozens of comments. Messages from relatives, old friends, even Brenda's co-workers. People who'd seen her online but never seen this side of her. Some defended her at first. "She's just blunt." Or "That's Brenda for you." But then others started sharing their own stories. One by one, she called me too fat for love at my baby shower. She joked that my miscarriage was God's way of helping me lose weight. She told my daughter she should smile more if she wants a husband. By noon, the entire family group chat was chaos. Cousin Sam, "Why would you air this publicly?" Mom, "Please take it down, this is embarrassing." Uncle Rob, "I can't believe she said those things about me." And finally, Aunt Brenda, "You twisted everything. You're ruining my reputation for attention." I typed back one sentence. "Oh, don't worry, Aunt Brenda. It's just a joke." Then I muted the chat. I didn't block anyone, not yet. I wanted them to see how it felt when silence isn't protection anymore. That evening, my mom showed up at my house, eyes red and trembling. "Honey, please," she said. "You've made your point. People are talking. Brenda's crying." I stared at her. "She's crying now? After 30 years of laughing at everyone else?" "She's your family," Mom whispered. I shook my head. "No, Mom. Family protects you when you're hurting. She hurt me for sport. That's not family." She didn't have an answer. That night, Mark came home with takeout. "You're trending on the family tree," he joked softly. I laughed for the first time in days. Good, let them talk. Then my phone buzzed again, a message from Brenda herself. "You've embarrassed me beyond repair. Are you happy now?" I didn't reply right away. I thought about all the times she made me feel small, humiliated, powerless. Then I typed back, "You taught me how to laugh at pain. I'm just using what you taught me." And for the first time, she didn't respond. But the story wasn't over. Because what happened next, what the rest of the family did, turned my small act of defiance into a reckoning none of us saw coming. 2 days later, I realized my post had done something I never intended. It broke the family in half. Half of them silently liked it. The other half, the keep the peace crowd, stopped talking to me completely. My cousin Sam unfriended me. My mom called daily, her voice heavy with guilt. "Honey, you know how Brenda is. She says stupid things. You shouldn't have gone public." But that was the thing. I had tried keeping it private. For years, I'd swallowed every harmless joke until it festered. And when I finally spoke up, I wasn't trying to destroy anyone. I just wanted to stop bleeding quietly. That Saturday, we were supposed to have Sunday dinner at Mom's, the first one since Thanksgiving. Mark asked if I wanted to go. I said yes. I needed to see how far the silence had spread. When we arrived, the air in that house was heavy, like someone had died. My mom hugged me, stiff and brief. My brother gave me a nod but wouldn't meet my eyes. Brenda was there too, sitting on the couch in full drama mode. Red eyes, tissues, the whole act. The moment I stepped in, she said, "So, are you here to film another episode for Facebook?" Mark squeezed my hand, warning me not to react. But something in me snapped. I smiled. "Actually, Brenda, I thought I'd tell a joke. You like those, don't you?" Her face stiffened. The room went silent. I walked to the center of the living room and said, "Knock, knock." No one answered. "Go on," I said. "Someone say who's there." Mom whispered. "This isn't funny, sweetheart." I looked straight at Brenda. "Oh, it will be," she sighed. "Fine, who's there?" "Consequences." "Consequences who?" "Consequences that finally caught up to you." The room froze. Brenda's jaw tightened. I went on calmly. "You've humiliated people for years, Brenda. You mocked me at Christmas, belittled Emma, laughed at Mom's struggles, and called it humor. Now people finally see who you are, and you can't handle it." She stood up, pointing a shaking finger at me. "You're pathetic. You always wanted attention. You got it now. Hope you're proud." I took a deep breath. "I'm not proud. I'm free. There's a difference." Mark gently pulled me back, whispering, "Let's go." But before I could turn, my mom spoke. "Brenda, she's right." Brenda blinked. "Excuse me?" Mom's voice cracked. "You've always hidden behind your sarcasm. You made us all afraid to speak up because you'd twist it into a punchline. I let you get away with too much." The room was spinning. I didn't expect her to say that. Brenda scoffed. "Oh, now you're turning on me too? What about all the times I helped you?" "Helped?" Mom laughed bitterly. "You mean the times you reminded everyone how much I owed you?" "You never helped. You humiliated." Silence fell again. Then my brother, who'd been quiet the entire time, stood up. "You texted my ex-wife calling her lazy and said she ruined our bloodline." I saw the screenshots. "You did that, Brenda." Brenda's face drained of color. "That was years ago. It doesn't matter." He shouted. "You don't get to decide who's family and who's a joke." It felt like years of suppressed voices were finally rising to the surface. For the first time, Brenda wasn't the one controlling the room. She was surrounded by the echoes of her own cruelty. She tried to storm out, but I stepped aside, blocking the door. "Before you go," I said quietly, "you should know this isn't about payback. It's about pattern. You don't get to destroy people and hide behind just kidding." She glared at me. "You're dramatic. You think this makes you some kind of hero?" "No," I said. "It makes me a survivor of bad jokes." And with that, she grabbed her purse and slammed the door behind her. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was relief. Mom sank into a chair and covered her face. God, I let this go on too long. I sat next to her, wrapping my arms around her shoulders. "You did what you thought would keep the peace. But peace built on fear isn't peace. It's just quiet suffering." That night after dinner, my brother texted me. "For what it's worth, thank you for saying what we were all too scared to." Mark smiled when I showed him. "Looks like your joke landed after all." But the next morning, I woke up to something unexpected. A message from Brenda's daughter, Lily. "Aunt Jess, thank you. Mom's been crying for days, but she finally admitted she needs help. She asked me to tell you she's sorry, but she doesn't know how to say it to your face yet." I stared at my phone, not sure how to feel. Part of me wanted to delete it. Another part, the tired, bruised part, felt something like hope. Because maybe, just maybe, the truth didn't destroy the family. Maybe it was the first real step toward rebuilding it. A week passed after that dinner. No family group chats, no phone calls, just a heavy, echoing silence that somehow felt louder than Brenda's laughter ever did. And yet, it wasn't uncomfortable anymore. It was peaceful. For the first time in years, I didn't wake up dreading family events or rehearsing comebacks in my head. Emma noticed it too. She started smiling more, talking more freely. One night while tucking her in, she whispered, "Mom, are we still going to Grandma's house for Christmas?" I hesitated, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Maybe," I said softly. "But only if it feels like a place where everyone's kind." She nodded thoughtfully. "Like the real family?" "Exactly." And that simple word, a real, echoed through me. Because for years, we'd been pretending that real families never fight, never draw lines, never speak up. But maybe real families do all those things, and then learn how to forgive without forgetting who they are. 3 weeks later, my phone buzzed. Brenda. The message was short. Can we talk? Mark looked at me when he saw the name pop up. You don't have to, Jess. I know, I said. But maybe I want to. We met at a quiet cafe halfway between our houses. When she walked in, she looked smaller, not physically, but like someone had deflated the sharpness she carried like armor. I didn't come to fight, she said immediately, sitting down. Good, I replied. I'm done fighting. There was a long pause. The clinking of cups around us filled the air. Then she sighed, eyes red but clear. You embarrassed me, she started, but I deserved it. I didn't say anything. I wanted her to keep going. I watched that video 100 times, she said, voice trembling. I saw how mean I looked, how everyone laughed with me, not at the joke, but at you. And I realized something. It's not that I thought you were weak, I just needed you to be smaller, so I could feel bigger. That admission hit harder than any insult ever had. I don't know how to undo that, she whispered. You don't, I said gently. You start over, she nodded, tears welling. I'm sorry, Jess, truly. I never thought I'd be the villain in my own family. I smiled sadly. Most villains don't. We sat in silence for a moment, not the kind that hurts, but the kind that heals. Before she left, she handed me a small card. Inside was a photo from that Thanksgiving night, the same one where she'd mocked me. But this time, she'd written across the bottom in her neat handwriting, For the record, I should have stood beside you, not behind the joke. I didn't cry right away. But when I got home, Emma saw it and hugged me tight. So, does that mean Aunt Brenda's not mean anymore? I laughed softly. Maybe she's learning. Emma nodded. Then I guess the joke's finally over. A month later, our family gathered again, this time for Easter brunch at my mom's. No big announcements, no tension in the air. Brenda brought a casserole, and for the first time in my life, she asked if I needed help setting the table. It was such a simple gesture, but it felt monumental. As we all sat down, I noticed her glance at me nervously before cracking a small smile. So, Jess, she said, heard any good jokes lately? I raised an eyebrow. Only one. Oh yeah? She asked, grinning nervously. I leaned back and said, What's the difference between a joke and a lesson? She hesitated. What? I smiled. A joke makes you laugh once. A lesson makes you remember forever. The table chuckled softly, not mockingly, but warmly. Even Brenda smiled, shaking her head. Touché, Mom raised her glass. To lessons, then. We all clinked glasses, and for the first time in years, laughter filled the room without anyone flinching. That night, after everyone left, I scrolled through my phone and stopped on that old post, the one that started it all. I hovered over the delete button for a long time. Mark came up behind me and asked, thinking of taking it down. Maybe, I said, but maybe I'll leave it, not to shame her, to remind myself how far we've come. He nodded. Sometimes closure isn't about deleting. It's about keeping receipts of your growth. I smiled at that. Because the truth is, what happened that night wasn't just about me or Brenda. It was about every person who's ever been laughed at, told to lighten up, told they were too sensitive. Sometimes sensitivity isn't weakness, it's awareness, the kind that wakes everyone else up. Weeks later, I got a notification. Brenda had shared my old post, but she'd added her own caption. If you ever find yourself laughing at someone instead of with them, stop. You might be the punchline and not even know it. That post went quietly viral among our family and friends, and when I read it, something in my chest unclenched, because for the first time I didn't feel like the joke anymore. I felt like the punchline had turned into purpose.